Every rank in CS2 demands different aiming skills, but the right advice at the right level can fast track your improvement. Today I'm sharing aim tips tailored for every rank, from the earliest beginner struggles to high tier mental game mastery. I'm Louis, and in this video we'll start with the basics, building active aim and smooth flicking for new players struggling with inconsistent aim. Then we'll move up to pre-aiming and angle holding fundamentals that help mid-tier players lock down crucial shots with precision. For higher ranks, we'll dive into calming your aim under pressure and improving tension control to avoid overflicks. Timestamps are in the description so you can jump to the rank that fits you best. Now, if your Premier Elo is around 5,000 or your Faceit level 1 to 2, something you guys need to work on is your basic mouse control and active aim. And what I mean by this is when you guys are in your games, or even if you notice yourself, a lot of times you might have really shaky aim when you're trying to get to a target, or maybe you either overflick and start to get shaky, or maybe you're doing like a little bit curve flick where maybe you're strafing out and see someone and you just try to curve like this, which slows down the amount of time it actually gets to the target. Now, if you do struggle with this, something that you might need to do first is change your sensitivity, because if I change my sensitivity to 2, you're gonna see that now it's a lot faster, and me flicking to targets is a lot harder, and it almost creates shaky aim, because even if I was clearing someone over here towards jungle, my aim becomes so shaky because my sensitivity is just way too high. So the first thing that you guys might need to do is turn down your sensitivity, and you can start by just doing it by a little bit, or you can do it a lot. And then once you find a perfect sensitivity, you'll notice that you're able to move your mouse a lot smoother, which almost creates a smooth aim effect, which can really help you out in aim duels and when you're clearing angles. Because if someone's here under Balk and my aim's shaking like this trying to clear it, I'm obviously not going to kill him, but if I'm able to smoothly clear this angle, I should be able to get the kill. Now, if you do find a good sensitivity, or maybe you think you have a perfect one but your aim is too shaky, one drill that you guys need to do a lot is either you can just put 2 bots in front of you, or you could even just find 2 targets on a wall, like maybe both of these edges, and you just want to flick back and forth in a straight line. Now, in order to get really good at this, you want to practice the motion instead of the speed. So I would stand here in the middle of the bots and just slowly flick to their head in a straight line, because this is going to start to tell your brain that it's not okay to be shaky and it's not okay to curve down when you're flicking to targets. You're pretty much just memorizing this movement and making it muscle memory, so you know how to move your crosshair left to right in a straight line. And then once you're able to get this movement down, you can obviously start to speed it up and then try to do fast flicks, which is going to increase your speed, and this is going to help your active aim. Because if you're swinging connector right here and you see someone on cat and you start to shoot and then someone comes connector, if you don't have active aim, you're going to start shooting and then you're just going to overflick or just create this shaky aim that won't help you kill this guy in connector at all. But if you really practice these movements, you'll be able to start shooting this guy, maybe strafe away and just instantly flick to someone playing in bottom connector. Now, if your Premier Elo is 5,000 to 10k or your Faceit level 3 to 4, you guys need to be working on your pre-aiming and angle holding. Now, the first thing about pre-aim that a lot of people misunderstand is that a lot of people think pre-aim is literally just aiming behind a wall and then clearing the target like this. That's only half of what you actually want to do when you're pre-aiming, because inside of CS2, a lot of people love to do this movement thing where if I was playing right here at this pillar, I would be strafing in and out like this. And what this creates is me playing a little bit wider than the pre-aim angle. So if someone was coming close here and trying to pre-aim, this crosshair would be right here against the wall while I'm sitting here and peeking him. So something you guys want to practice when you are pre-aiming is to have your crosshair off the wall like this the whole time when you think someone is at that angle, because you're going to see my crosshair is going to line up with this player, and even if he was doing these left and right strafes, my crosshair being out like this will be able to catch him off if he does decide to strafe out here, and I'm able to peek into him and get this kill, because I am expecting him to hit these AD strafes when I know he's just playing in a single angle. Now, something about holding angles that is very important is that a lot of people love to hold angles with their crosshair right up against the wall, but since players move really fast inside of CS2 with peeker's advantage, being close to the wall like this isn't going to help you at all. So just like how we were talking about pre-aiming angles with our crosshair off the wall so you're able to just swing and then kill this player, it's the same thing with holding angles. You want to be far out from the wall, because a lot of people know that there is peeker's advantage, so they're going to be thinking about swinging before they even think about aiming at all. So by the time they're out this wall about in this position, this is where they're going to have to stop and flick to wherever you're playing. So if you are playing over here towards market and holding for this swing, you want to have your crosshair really far out from the wall just so you can catch this guy when he's max velocity, because there's so many movement tricks now where you can, you know, do a little AD and then peek, or you can strafe to the left and then peek like this to get maximum momentum at the corner. So you're only putting yourself at a disadvantage if you're holding this close. Now, something that can help you is to have a longer crosshair like this. This will kind of give you a good guideline on where you should be holding an angle. So maybe if you're really fast, you could have the edge of the crosshair up against the wall right here. But in my personal preference, if I was holding this angle, I would be be holding more for about out here, because this is the spot where even if he decides to peek me or crouch peek me, his head would start to lower right before he reaches this position. So his peek would look something like this. So I know just from my experience that holding right here is what works for me, but some of you guys might be faster or slower inside of Counter-Strike where you're holding angles. So you really just have to play around and see which spot is the best for you. And then you'll start to notice on other places of the map, like maybe in top mid, you know how far you need to hold your crosshair for anyone swinging, or even out here over towards A if you're playing triple. Maybe you know you can hold your crosshair tight because you have fast reaction time, or you have to hold it all the way out here because you know when people wide swing you, you're always dying. Now, before I get into the next tip, let me tell you about SkinsMonkey. Is a CS2 skins trading site marketplace that provides an instant way to get new skins. The favorite thing about SkinsMonkey is that I can trade skins that I no longer want and trade it for a skin that is equal value. If you use code LouisCS2, you get a $5 bonus on your first trade. And if you want to buy skins, you can get a 30% deposit bonus plus an extra 5% using my code. The link is down in the description. Thank you SkinsMonkey for sponsoring this video. Now, if your Premier Elo is 10,000 to 15k or your Faceit level 5, something that you guys need to focus on is crouching. I see a lot of people just overuse crouch where they're caught in the open and they decide to just sit down crisscross applesauce like there's a fire right here and then just start shooting at enemies. Something that you guys may not realize is that crouching actually affects your hitbox and it makes it a lot wider, because since you're a lot more skinnier standing up, when you crouch, your hitbox becomes wider because everything is just condensed into a pretty much a huge area, like a fat guy sitting on a couch watching TV. So something you guys need to focus on is when you should be crouching. Now, one of the best times that you do want to crouch is if you're peeking an angle, you just want to tap it, because this is going to mess up anyone that has really good crosshair placement. Because if I'm sitting here holding bench and I know someone's at the pillar, I'm going to be holding wide for this swing at head level. But if he decides to swing and instantly hit crouch, as soon as I start to shoot, I'm going to have to overcompensate and try to pull down and hit his huge hitbox, when in reality, he's actually giving time for himself, because now since his hitbox just got lowered, he's able to get more bullets off to hit me behind bench than I would be able to hit him playing behind this pillar. Now, another way that you guys can efficiently use crouch is when you're playing an angle that you know is going to be cleared. So a good example of this is, let's say maybe I was over here holding jungle, I was holding the A cross, and I wanted to hold this angle right here. Me sitting here crouched with good crosshair placement is something very good to do. And the reason that this is good is because when people swing jungle, they have their crosshair held at a head angle, which a lot of people usually do. So if you're just sitting here holding crouch, you're going to be able to get at least 1 to 2 hits on the player before he's able to stop and actually adjust his crosshair. And this works in a lot of different places as well, but you just want to make sure that they're very common angles. Even over here towards cat, if you wanted to play close up like this at bricks and just hold for anyone swinging cat because you know there's multiple players, just sitting here and then just committing to a long spray isn't that bad at all, because people are just over swinging this holding at head angle, and like I talked about earlier, they're going to have to stop and then adjust their crosshair, and by the time they already do that, you've already hit them 1 to 2 times. And even if they don't have armor, they're going to get aim punched, their crosshair is going to fly up in the air, and you're going to be able to get a free kill. Now for the 15,000 to 20,000 Premier rating or Faceit level 6, this is where we really want to hone in on our movement just so we're able to be accurate, because the higher you guys go up in skill, you're going to be encountering a lot of people that have really good aim, but sometimes they may not have the best movement. But if you're playing against someone that does have really good aim, that can maybe just stand here and just one-tap people out mid, you're going to want to counter that with your movement and while being accurate. So in order to counter someone playing in this position, the first thing we want to talk about is how we want to peek this player. So if we know that he's just standing still, not even moving, the best way for me to peek this guy is to constantly be moving. Because if people have really good aim in CS, chances are they have really good crosshair placement and tracking in one direction, which means they're able to just shoot and tap going towards right, but they're not going to be able to sit here and just tap right and left and have really good accuracy. So the best way to counter someone like this is to just strafe out and then just tap like this, because he's not going to be able to move his crosshair enough because it's tracking in 2 different directions, which this player isn't good at all. Now, talking about this type of movement where we're just strafing left and right to be able to be accurate, this is also efficient on pistol rounds as well. Now, it's more focused on a gun like the P250 or the USP, where you're able to just move and strafe like this, because this is going to make you a really hard target, especially on a side like T side. If you have a P250, sometimes it is okay to hold angles, but again, this is where we want to focus on our movement, which helps us create good aim. So if I'm able to strafe out here and then just keep strafing back and forth on this jungle player and able to land really good bullets down the center of my crosshair, this is going to put me at a upper hand in the duel, because this player here with the USP is gonna have to sit here and just keep tapping left and right trying to kill me, because I have really good movement and I understand the weaknesses around this rank area, which will hopefully give you guys a lot more kills. Now, Premier rating 20,000 to 25k and Faceit level 7 through 8, this is where we want to focus on calm aim and tension. You guys basically have all the fundamentals down, but now it's really coming down to how you're moving your crosshair. Now, earlier we did talk about where if you have really shaky aim, that's kind of where tension also comes in as well, because if you're really tensed up, you're going to be just sitting here almost just like clearing angles like this because you're holding your mouse really tight. So if you find yourself having aim where you're just constantly shaking like this means that you have too much tension, and you probably want to just loosen your mouse grip, almost like Donk holds it, where it's not a claw position, but it's just very loose so you're able to flow very good. And this is what helps create smooth aim. Now, if you want really smooth aim and really smooth crosshair placement, there's actually a really good exercise that you guys can do. And it's simply just by picking an angle that you want to clear and just practice it clearing it at least 10 times like this. And this will help you create that smooth crosshair placement going left to right or right to left, and just practice clearing that angle. This is also going to help you with crosshair placement as well, because you can notice how I have my crosshair far from the wall and I'm just sitting here strafing back and forth practicing clearing this angle. Now, you can do this pretty much anywhere on the map as well. If I wanted to practice clearing market, I could come out like this, and I'm just really practicing that smooth aim. You can see how smooth my crosshair is moving when I'm clearing these angles, and I'm actually in a really good position to be able to kill. Now, you can go even more in-depth on this if you wanted to maybe place a bot down in a position that you think someone might be playing, and then you can just practice clearing and then just fragging on this bot that you just placed. Now, if you do this exercise even before you warm up, you'll notice that you're going to have a lot more success in your duels. You really need smooth aim and no tension when you're clearing these angles, because if you're over tense and you're clearing these angles, flicking up is going to be very hard. But if you're able to just calmly clear these, you're going to have a lot more success flicking to these off angles that CTs love to play. Now, the top of the top, which is 25k plus in Premier or Faceit level 8 and above, this is where we want to start focusing on consistency, confidence, and your own mental play. So being able to have consistency is pretty much just playing the same positions on all the maps and having a really consistent warm-up routine. So if I played Mirage and I played a different position every single time I played, my stats and my score are going to be very different, and it's going to be hard to be consistent. Now, what makes it really good to play the same spot, like another example is over here towards A, is that you're going to see a lot of the same things, where you're going to really experience a lot of people walking out Palace, walking out ramp, right side A smokes, people running up con. And this is really good because if you're able to teach yourself how to counter this, you're going to really excel in that position and really help your team, especially if you do solo queue. Now, something else that this helps as well is that if you are playing the same position, you're going to see all these things and clearly remember them. Where if I just played a game on A and this guy kept walking out Palace, the next game I'm going to be hyper aware of that, and I'm going to be able to learn how to play around it, where I'm constantly checking it. I'm making sure that no one's coming out ramp. I'm checking Palace again. And then that one round in my new Mirage game that this guy does decide to walk out Palace, I'll be able to kill him, and he's going to wonder why I'm so aware that he's in Palace. And it's because I've clearly just seen that before, and that's what makes me consistent in my position. Now, in order to get confidence inside of the game is finding things that you like to do. So another example that we could use is over here towards A, where if I knew I was really confident just mollying ramp and swinging behind it and able to kill this lurk, I could pull this out once or twice a half, and it gives me confidence because I clearly know that it works. Or I could even go more in depth where I know if someone's holding this ramp flash and they flash me in and I like to clear with the flash, if I know this is something that really works for me, I want to always do it. Even over on T side, one of my favorite plays is just running out mid and having someone flash connector for me. This play right here gives me so much confidence because I'm always able to kill anyone up top con, because I just have really good muscle memory flick range in this position. So I'm always able to instant headshot this guy and just get all this map control for free. Now, having these confidence plays is also very good, because if you ever start the game just in a rough way where maybe you have 1 kill or maybe even 0 kills, just pulling out any of these plays will help you get back into the game, because once you get that first kill, you're going to notice that you're going to start to excel and you're just going to skyrocket in your game and start to really carry your team.